couple of quick tips and pieces that you should know before using the observation and conversation trackers that we have developed for kindergarten through grade 6 in English language arts and literature. The intent of this document is to help you capture or track your observations and conversations that you're having with students as part of your ongoing triangulation of evidence for learning. When we look at the verbs in the curriculum, there are many of them that actually do not require students to put pen to paper. That's not to say that you can't ask that of students. However, when we're looking at the assessment and the assessment needing to be aligned with the expectations of the curriculum, we can see where we see the word explain, for example. Well, a student could verbally explain a concept to you and demonstrate that understanding or that skill and not have to put pen to paper. So the purpose of this document is to help you track those observations and conversations. You'll notice the organizing ideas are tabs across the bottom of the document, particularly for text forms and structures. It's been sorted into some of those subcategories that we find within the many cusps that live under that particular organizing idea. You can obviously adjust whatever scale you want to use here to mark your observations, but we can see here that Susan, when we were looking at confirming the author or text creator's purpose based on the information of the text. So this is grade 4. We're wondering then, is the purpose of the text to persuade, to inform, to entertain? When we did that in September, she couldn't quite explain her thinking. And we did that again in October, and she couldn't quite do that. And she almost had it figured out in November and December. And then in January, when we did it again, yes, she was able to do that. So now I will have a collection of evidence for this student that allows me to make an informed decision in reporting, as well as planning for my next steps in my classroom. You will notice as you go through the document that not every skill and procedure is listed, and that was simply because upon initial glances, thinking that that would be a pen and paper task. There's also some that you might see here that you would make into a product or writing task, and that's okay. The idea of these documents are meant for you to edit and use them however they make the most sense for you. Obviously, you can use it digitally. You can also print it out and write in the boxes, which I'm old enough, that's what makes sense for me to do. But interestingly, when we look at something like conventions, many of the verbs that are in conventions is asking students to do things like identify or determine. And we're not necessarily asking for application of that skill or knowledge. Obviously, with verbs like apply, we see that. But we can also speak in sentences. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing writing in that task. We could, but we could also maybe listen for consistent subject-verb agreement in a variety of sentences. We hope that these documents prove to be helpful to you in your planning and your assessment and all the work that you're doing with your students. Please remember that this is not the entire curriculum, and it is your professional responsibility to review the details found within the cusps under each learning outcome to ensure that the appropriate skills and procedures are being captured in a way that is intended in the curriculum.